All right, Eldon back here for another episode of Will It Live Again on this tourist camp stove. What I'm going to do now, we'll flip the camera around and get started on the next phase. All right, I had these parts cleaned up here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and get them painted black. And they're going to be gloss black. And one of the reasons for that is because the longer this stuff dries, the harder it is to scratch it when I put it back together. And I'm going to do scratching it anyway, but I want to do it as little as possible. So, in the spirit of doing that, I'm going to take these little clips here that hold the handle in the case. And I'm going to try to straighten them out a little bit so that they will go into the case more straight rather than having to scrape the sides really bad going into it. So I'm actually going to do that off camera. I'm probably going to use a pair of pliers to do that with. If I have to do something else, I'll tell you about it. And then we'll be back. Okay, I accomplished what I was after there with this big set of needle nose pliers that I've got. As you can see, they're not perfectly straight, but remember, they're going to get bent when they get back in there, so I don't really want them perfectly straight. But what I did do is get the two sides parallel to each other, and I think that's going to help a lot. So we'll get them over here in the high-tech paint booth with all the other parts. And what I'm going to do on these, I'll use a lot of Rust-Oleum paint. So I'm going to put a flat black primer on it. And then I am going to coat it with a coat of gloss black. And that's where we'll go. Again, I'm not going to bore you with watching me spray paint. It's not that difficult. Just don't overload it all at one time. So let's get some black primer on them. In fact, I'm just going to do all of that and not worry you about the details. When I get done on the next set, they will be painted. All right, parts are in primer. I lied, I showed it to you. Okay, while we're waiting for those things to dry, I've done a couple other things here. These are the parts that I had in the carburetor cleaner bath, and I pulled them out. One of the fun things about the carburetor cleaner, that type, is actually it's an alcohol-based thing, so when you pull these out, you just wash them off in water, and it breaks down all the leftover carburetor cleaner, gets it out of there, leaves you with a nice, fresh, clean part. So I've done that. I've pulled the case out of the acid bath. Finally got all 6 or 5 sides of it soaked and hosed it off to do that now. You can see how that paint's flaking off right there. So I'm going to take this in to the kitchen sink, which my wife is a saint. She lets me do that. But I also pay her back by cleaning up really good after myself so it doesn't leave her kitchen sink a mess. So there you go. I'm going to spend a lot of time scrubbing on that with soapy water and probably steel wool, maybe even something a little tougher than that to try to get paint off. That'll bring me to cleaning these two. So it'll be degreaser and steel wool because I'm trying to get as much paint off as I can. And so that's kind of where I'm at in this episode. I'm going to also take my tank in there and start cleaning the outside of it. I know I'm going to have to do some work to clean the inside of this pickup too, because I can see that it's pretty cruddy down in there. But I'm going to do that. I'll tell you what I did, and then we'll come back and do some work at cleaning up these parts and getting them looking nice. All right, I'll become Mr. Cleaner here for a while. I can't believe you guys are missing the most exciting part of this whole build. Washing all of these parts in the sink for extended periods of time. Just kidding. You're welcome for saving you from watching me. All right, this is pretty cool. This thing cleaned up really good once we got all the grease off of it. But look at that. You can see that it was nickel plated, as some of the guys have said. It wasn't just extra coating of galvanizing on it. So that means now I've got to get all the stuff and learn how to nickel plate. That's all right. I've been wanting to learn how to do that anyway. So yeah, that turned out really cool. I'm think this is going to look nice. Just saw that dent. Little tiny dent right there. I got to see if I can figure out how to get that out of it. But we'll get to that in a little bit. That's going to look really cool, though, with a nice, shiny, nickel-plated tank on this black stove. Sweet. We'll be back shortly. All right, check that out. That's the generator tube right there. Has that long coil that looks like a spring in there. It really just helps to slow down the travel of stuff. But I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get that out. But I was able to use that pick there to kind of get the end of it out and then grab it with my needle nose pliers. And I'm twisting it out so it kind of unscrews out of there, but it's coming. There we go. It actually came out, so that's going to allow us to get the generator cleaned out a little bit more. It had a little bit of carbon and crud come out with it, but I don't know that it was bad, but it will allow us to clean it some more. So good deal. On to the next thing. So while we're waiting for some paint to dry, let's do a little bit of cleaning up on some of these parts. I want to start over here with this pricker rod that goes inside the generator. One of the things I like to do here is start out with steel wool and see if I can get it clean with that. So I'm just going to use this on it. See how that works out. What I don't want to do is go off the end of it and catch on that little tiny pricker point there. So I'm going to save the end for last. And you can feel quite a bit of carbonization on there. So I don't know, we might end up taking it to the wire wheel on the grinder, though that's a very delicate procedure. Hey, he was quiet for 10 seconds. How did he pull that off? I don't know. Well, it's getting it pretty well clean. I don't know. Still got, it's coming there. Sometimes it just needs something to break that up. It's a little tougher than the steel wool. Let me, there we go. Got an old razor blade here. We'll get the buildup off of there and then polish it up with the steel wool. All right, try it again. That's getting a little better. Well, actually generating some friction, warming it up. Okay. I think you get the point. We can do it that way. I may end up over at the wire wheel, but for the end, I like to just pull my steel wool off of it like that. Oh, it's good if I do it off camera, right? Maybe I should hold it in front of the camera. Anyway, just pull the steel wool off the end of it. Like so. And that's actually good enough to go back in there, but I don't know. I may get more serious about polishing that up. Then we could, eventually I want to get this nut polished. So let's see if I can get that down there. Yeah. Oh, I actually can get it off. Might be all the better. Fun thing with doing this is you can stop at any point you want along here and leave some of the patina on it if you would like to do that. Just basically getting it clean. But I think I'm going to go for the full cleaned up, clean brass look. Which might mean that I actually take it to the wire wheel too. One thing about using a wire wheel is it does abrade it a little bit and leaves it with a not quite factory looking finish. And that's kind of your choice, how serious you want to be about it. So there we go. I could leave it right there, but I'm probably not going to. So that looks pretty nice, just like that. It has the patina on it, but I think I want to clean it up a little better. So I'll go ahead and do that off camera. That's essentially what I'm going to do with all these other parts, so that they get nice and shiny. And I'll do that, and then I'll put some clear coat on them so that they last. But right now they're clean. You can't really hear the check ball bouncing in there, but it is. There's our air, or our pump adapter, whatever you want to call it. So they're all cleaned up, ready to go. I'm running a little long on this video, so I think I'll come back on the next episode. This, if we look down that tube, you can tell that it's not very straight. Somebody's kind of abused it a little bit. So we're going to straighten that out and clean up the rest of the parts there. I think I'm going to wrap this video up right now because I don't want to go too long on them. So we'll be back with another episode as we finish cleaning up.